At your heart, come for me. Feed my mind with belief. Don't make me feel. I know I'm not fool. Take these hands, make them move. Move without restraint. Show cancel me. Feel my soul eternally. Don't make me fall. Take these hands, make them safe. Live without restraint. So I know oceans and I can climb the mountains and I can fly with wings on high. I am the bright blue sky. I swim the seven seas. I am the morning breeze whispering through the trees. I am she. I am she. I am she. I cross the oceans and I climb the mountains and I fly the wings on high. I am the bright blue sky. I swim the seven seas. I am the morning breeze whispering through the trees. I am she. I am she. children. I live in the web and I am your conscience and I walk the burning sand. I am the one who breathes. I am she. Ideko, 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 Ideko,
Greetings, greetings, greetings. I am Reverend Majadi Baruti, and you have joined us here for our podcast ministry, our broadcast ministry called Udja Temple. Udja Temple is dedicated to a very specific mission that is rooted in an ancient call. We are rooted in an ancient call that has come through thousands of years and has been consistent. And that call is to serve and be with Mother, to be devoted to the great Mother, the great Black Mut, she who is eternal. Let us go into prayer. We're going to do a special prayer today. There is, at this moment, a sister with some children in Shelby County. And in Shelby County, as with other counties in the United States, there are Black women who are suffering at the hands of the Department of Human Services and Child Services and this type of thing, as well as the constant construct of poverty, which prevents people from living a whole and well life. This particular sister has had her children taken away from her for some minuscule things, some minor things. We won't get into the details. But she is dealing with the Shelby County system. She fights for her custody of her children. And we're going to take a moment to send energy to not only her and her children, that they are brought back together, but also the warriors, the warrior priestesses who have been fighting to make sure that this takes place, that this reconnection to the root, the mother, is made. So we're going to take a moment and we're going to send prayerful energy to my friends Rihanna, Janice, and some other warriors fighting to keep this family together and to keep them whole and well. And this prayer will be for all families, Black, brown families, particularly Black mothers and your children. Great Mother, Mother of mothers, grandmother of grandmothers, great-grandmother of great-grandmothers, she who is eternal, the great Black Mut, she who is abundance. We are calling now for the warrior priestesses to be able to wield this by either tongue or by sword, so that this family comes together and it stays together and is tightly bound in your glory and your bosom, that they never be parted again. And we ask for the pushing away of those who would dare to separate families, those who would dare to separate Black families. We ask for them to be pushed away, if necessary, pushed into abyss, for their hands to be lifted from this madness, separating children from their mother, the root, their mother. We ask for a blessing on the hands and the hearts of those warriors who come forth, Janice, Rihanna, and so many others. Those who sent money, we send you a blessing. For some of you, you understand that this is your duty. You have to do this. It is reparations to make sure that Black women are taken care of. So those of you who are not African or not Black, we thank you, but we need you to keep doing that. We need you to figure out ways to gain funding so that we can create that which is necessary to make sure that Black women and children do not suffer this ever again. That same goes for brown women and their children separated by the state. We ask that the state is pushed away and to be made to fall away into abyss, and that these children and women, the root, the women, are well taken care of, well fed, and that their children have food, shelter, clothing. And we say, Ashe, Ashe, and Ashe. We give honor to the great goddess, she who is eternal, she who is boundless, she who has no Alpha and no Omega, she who has always been, is now, and will always be the root. She who sets the root before us so that we can be connected to her and this most formidable root. We give honor to you, Mother. Thank you for all that you have given, all that you are giving, all that you have taken, and all that needs to be taken away. All of it. You are she who severs the head, the ego, and we are your children. We ask that you sever the head of that which seeks to destroy your children. We ask that the children are strong enough to not just survive, but to move towards thriving, to move towards abundance, joy, compassion, passion, sensuality, love. Thank you, Mother. We give honor and reverence to our ancestresses, those Black women who walked a path, never forgetting the root of who they are, moving through the planet, coming from within side of Africa, going throughout the planet, establishing everywhere in every which way evidence of their existence, evidence of Black goddess worshipers. And we ask for that blessing to come from those ancestors through our lineage till now, such that we can create sanctuary for our people, for our women, and for our children. Thank you, ancestors, for laying the possibility. And we give honor and reverence to our elder mothers, those who are still alive and giving wisdom. And we thank you very much for everything that you are and everything that you do. We understand you to be walking sometimes a path of combat yourself. You still wield machete, elder mother. Thank you very much. Thank you for wielding machete and taking the heads of our enemy. And I give honor to my priestess, Meri-T, who's walking various paths, but who has guided this work since 2010, who's helped to guide me and protect me, actually, truth be told, as I speak these things. Being a Black man in the South, speaking of the goddess, when everything around me is something else, and every other male seems to dislike women. Thank you, Priestess Seshat, for quite literally and in some cases physically protecting me from the beast that is patriarchy. The most formidable root, that's our message today, the most formidable root. What are you talking about, Baruti? You know, I'm always having references to trees and flowers and this type of thing. The most formidable root. Now, I initially had an opening hymn from D'Angelo and the Vanguard. We'll probably play that as a closing hymn. The song was called Betray My Heart. But let me give you this prayerful statement. Now, he's talking to a woman, but what ends up happening with me is I always kind of translate these things in my head, in my spirit, my heart, because I understand that Brother D'Angelo is fond of women. He's fond of Black women. So this is a very prayerful song, and that'll be our B selection. Our B selection. Yeah, we have a B selection. That'll be our hymn. We'll play that toward the end. But the song is called Betray My Heart. And he is referencing never betraying his heart. And he says, as the day must have its sun, and the night must have its moon, sure as both must rise and fall, I'll be there to see you through. Just as long as there is time, I will never leave your side. And if ever that you feel that my love is not sincere, I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. And thank you for listening to the word of our brother D'Angelo and his group, the Vanguard. I will never betray my heart. I will never leave your side. There is this idea. There is this false idea that the people of the goddess, that Africans have forgotten our history, or we don't know our history. And I've heard some elders say we don't have a history, which is physically impossible because you wouldn't exist if you didn't have a history. So you most definitely have a history. Otherwise, you would not be. Have we forgotten it? I don't know if it's forgotten. That's a funny term. It's like, oops, forgot my keys at the house. That's not what happened. It's trauma. Trauma caused by others. But let's take it back a little bit further. Now we have Africa, and we have the engagement of both the Arab world and the European world, and our physical enslavement. And yes, there are Africans who participated in some dynamics of this, but they have begun, those Africans, this is for some of you who like to do that, you love to do that. Well, Africans sold their own selves into slavery. Well, many of those nations that participated in, or those ethnicities that participated in that, those African ones, have apologized for that and have done things to make reparations. But the European nations haven't done that. America hasn't done that and adamantly refuses to do so, finds it a ludicrous concept. We didn't forget our history. That's not how that happens. You are traumatized. You're taken through hell. Now, this is not a message specifically about Africana history. It is, however, a message about the Africana history as it relates to the goddess. It is that. I'm not going to give you a history lesson. I don't want to do that to you. But I will touch on some things that are historical. As the prophet says, I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. I will never leave your side. And if ever that you feel that my love is not sincere, I will never betray my heart. The prophet D'Angelo makes this statement of betraying himself, of going away from something that he understands is not only crucial, but is something that is good for him and beautiful. The most formidable root for us as African people, as humanity, is our root connecting us to the goddess. Now, you understand something about plants, right? You understand that the root is necessary to get into that which sustains life, right? And the root produces the life itself. Without that root, or in some trees they're referred to as a root ball, without those roots tied into and connected to everything that is necessary for it to survive, that tree, that flower, that plant, you will not survive. You will not survive. You will not survive well. The most formidable root. The roots of our universe are with the Great Mother. She who is abundant, she who grants desires, she who is eternal. She is the root, and she is the essence of what feeds the root. As one of my goddess worshiping brothers, and there are a few of us, and I mean a few, he used to say, women are not power, they are the essence of power. You know, we have this conversation, oh, powerful women, but you're the very essence of how power takes place in the first place. In fact, if you really look at it very closely, and that's another examination we can do at one day, if you look at it, the whole thing has always been about you. And very specifically you, Black woman, the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle, the whole mess that we're in, the whole problematic state of affairs is all about you, mother, all about you, woman, all about you, Black mother and Black woman specifically. Yes. Because in ancient times, in our ancient matriarchal societies, we understood and were connected to the root. In those societies, that root made sure that everybody was able to eat. That root connected the earth, life force that is the goddess, to help us to grow strong and powerful and beautiful. That most formidable root has been difficult to destroy. So when we have people talking about Black people have lost their history, or they don't have their history, or they've turned away from their history, they've turned the nose, all these things are really kind of absurd, because you can't exist without your history. You're here because of a historical circumstances, perhaps two humans, maybe one for some of us, parthenogenesis, two humans in all, for all intents and purposes, one primarily the mother, and she, being the root, had some fertilizer. Yes, I said that. Fertilizer added. And the fertilizer fertilized what she had inside already, but she is the root. Her womb is the root. She gave of herself nutrition, nutrients to produce her children, the trees, the birds, the bees, the flowers, the grasses, the weeds, these little roly-poly bugs people find funny, the ladybugs, whom I've yet to determine whether or not they're male or female. I guess it doesn't matter. Damn it, you're a ladybug, and you're very helpful in farm work, and I appreciate you, ladybug. Nevertheless, that most formidable root brought forth all of this life in abundance. The roots of the universe, the blackness that is the womb of space that brought forth, whether you believe in that whole Big Bang theory, and I always have problems with that idea because that's a violent construct. Is it necessarily through the violence that everything came to be, or could Mother just have produced of her own volition, replicating herself into the multi-faceted numbers of things that exist, sentient and non-sentient? Including this dog. I have a dog. She's very needy. Not to not to distract from the attention, but she needs attention right now. We're gonna go on. I ask her to be patient, and she will be patient. She just wants to be close to me. Her name is Baby Girl, and perhaps one day you'll see her. Okay? Leave that alone, Baby Girl. So, Mother produces all of this, brings forth all of this life. She is that most formidable root, the root that connects us to her. We're the trees and the flowers and the fruit and the fae and the life that you can't see and the life that you can see. Those things that are under the ground and those things that are above the earth, those are things that are in the earth itself. She is the bringing forth the root of all of that. She is the most formidable root because she brought forth all of this abundance without really too much problem, right? It just, we have these ideas of conflict when we deal with religion in the beginning of things. There's always some kind of bang or some kind of violent splitting or tearing. No, it's just the production of things and the reproduction of things. That's it. It's not necessarily a violent interaction there. That's coming from that male religion thing, which we'll get into that in just a second. But that most formidable root at the roots of the universe with the great mother is most formidable because despite everything that has been done, we have not completely been disconnected from the root. We just haven't. That's a mythos. We are not completely disconnected from the mother. We are, however, having this sheet thrown over our eyes that makes it so it seems as if the mother doesn't exist. And so when you say that you worship the divine feminine or that you're a goddess worshiper, and I've been in spaces that are supposed to be interfaith, but they don't know what to do with me because all of their gods are male. All of their gods are male. And so they don't know what to do with me. Here is a black man that worships a goddess, and his goddess is African. His goddess is black. It's a Pan-African theological understanding. What do you do with that? All I'm doing is just reciting what the roots are. Baby girl, I have to put you out, honey. Huh? Trying to keep you in here. Sit. Lay down, baby. Lay down. We'll figure this out. She just loves being close to me. I don't think I'm about to pick her up and put her in the camera, so I don't think that's going to happen, okay? She just needs to be close to me. So this necessity that males and their male religion, their God male, their father religion, Sky Daddy, as some of my friends like to call them, they began to control the information and the understanding of what was and what is. And in doing that, the root was hidden. We won't say forgotten, we can say hidden. Under all of this rigmarole of a militaristic drive to control everything, life itself, to control the flow of life, abortion, whether a woman has a child or not, these types of things. This is what this male religion seeks to do. It wants to control everything, including life itself, including the womb. They want to control the womb and the roots of the universe, which is the great mother. They figure if they can't be mother, well, they can damn sure control her children. And so here we are, thinking on this Sky Daddy, who presents to us a non-abundance, a lack construct, a violent and often very vile construct, to the point that people are praising God, the male God, obviously, that a rapist has gotten out of jail on a technicality. Your God understanding is anti-woman. You are supportive of anti-woman constructs, those of a millionaire, black though he be. You are showing me who you are. And we will show you this most formidable root that we are still connected to, even with all of these things, all of these centuries of transformation, of the introduction of religions that are run by males with a male deity, al-Islam, Christianity, Judaism. Even with that control dynamic, as they begin to produce constructs like capitalism and all the rest of this madness, even with that, Mother has maintained with us the most formidable root. We are still connected to her. Even in my study over years, looking through these various great Western religions, which in the words of Dr. John Henry Clarke, the late Dr. John Henry Clarke, they are murder cults. I know, I said it. I understand. And I'm willing to stand on that because you'd have to disprove it, wouldn't you? We have no history of goddess worshippers going into spaces and wholesale slaughtering humankind in the name of our creator. None. We don't have a lick, not a pin, you can't get nothing, not a drop of water, nothing, not a bead of sweat to prove that. However, your three great Western religions and Western civilization is replete with destruction, murder, rape, and the thankfulness that people have of a God that supports the rapist. But she has the most formidable root. Even with all of this, this is what I wanted to get into. Even with all of this, I have in my studies, have found the Great Mother producing branches that move through those religions. Yes, even in Judeo-Christianity or Christianity and Judaism, even in al-Islam, you will find the roots of the goddess there. We've done these messages years ago. We'll probably bring them back. You will find the mother there. And you will find her before there was a there that are called the three great Western religions. Now, am I pushing you or attempting to move you this way toward the goddess? No, I'm just telling you those things that are fact and can be proven. Those things that are historical and historical. Those things that I can give you, that I can prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt. Mother was first, and mother has not gone any damn where. She brings forth that most formidable root. Now let me get into something here. For those of you who have ever dealt with things like kudzu or privet, you know the root of that. It's very difficult not only to find, but to get to the bottom of. I had a friend who said he was spending my friend Victor, he was spending all day long trying to remove privet. I keep wanting to say pivot. It's privet from his house, from around his home, because it's a root that's very, not only dense, very strong and powerful. And that thing would not move, but he had to spend all the hours trying to move this thing, and he did it. But it was a most formidable root. Imagine the teachings of the Great Mother being that most formidable root, that it even runs through the 3 Western religions that have dominated the planet and colonized humankind and enslaved us. All 3 of them have some play in the enslavement of people. I am not discounting anything of Africa. I'm not doing that. So don't go there. Don't try to say, oh, what about Africa? Y'all like to do that. But I'm focusing on a particular set of dynamics. And I will not forget that which was done historically by African people in the process. It's not as mass as you like to think it is, because some of y'all like to think it's like this big thing. And if it wasn't for them, the Europeans would. No, that's not how that works at all. These religions of man separated us from the root, but the root never dies. It never dies, but it does reach outward to create new things. Self create more of herself. The most formidable root. Our original spiritual understanding was such that we connected to that root. And that root, like that privet, and I'm going to go into some other conversations. So for those of you who have not dealt with privet, I got a couple of things I'm going to show you, right? So that privet was difficult to manifest, to pull out. And it's like annoying to some people, right? It's like, oh my God, I got to pull this privet out. How do I do this? I've got to dig and dig and dig and dig to totally uproot it. But even then, when you uproot it, the root is not dead. It's just uprooted. You can compost it or something, or break it down or burn it, or I guess. But even when you do so, guess what happens? The thing still exists. It's just in another form, because energy, as you know, just transforms. It just takes other forms. It's not dead. So the root of that privet, I'm going to get that. I'm going to pivot so I can get the privet. Even that root did not completely dissipate into nothing. It was the most formidable root. Let me give you another one. Kudzu. Great mother brought us kudzu. The Japanese brought kudzu to the United States. Kudzu. Kudzu is some of everywhere. For those of you who are not familiar with kudzu, it is a very long vining branch that is rooted very firmly in the ground. And it spreads and covers everything. It's very strong, and it has these almost rope-like branches or runners. But the root of kudzu, the leaves of kudzu, the branches of kudzu, has been used for hundreds of years, perhaps thousands of years, hundreds of years that I know of, by Native American people and people in general to be processed as food and healing agents, teas and such. And the rope, or the branch-like rope, has been bound together to produce rope, baskets, all types of things. Flour can be made from kudzu root. But that root, some of the roots I've heard, now I have not tried, I work with the Dynamite Hill Smithfield Community Land Trust, and we have kudzu that comes out of this forested area, right? And this kudzu comes forth and it just doesn't stop. We have to keep shaving it back. But someone said, well, if you could find the roots of it, I've tried. It is formidable. It comes through and brings through and comes through and it binds and twists in each other. And the branches and the leaves are huge. Trying to make sure she's a baby still. Trying to make sure that she doesn't chew anything that hurts her. She's still teething a little bit. Baby girl. Okay, just lay down, baby. It's okay. I'll be done in a minute. The kudzu leaves, the roots, the branches can all be used. The vines can all be used to heal and to feed people. So we're going to figure out how to process that. But what I'm trying to get to is that this most formidable, from this particular root, has such advantages and it gives so much to us. And this is the same with the Great Mother, and your connection to her is that root that has never been lost. It has come through the religions of man, even as they continue to try to separate us from the root. But the root never dies. It never dies, but reaches outward to create and self-create more for herself, more for you. In this work of Udja Temple, we have a harmonic relationship between the science of research and spirituality. They are not two opposing forces. We've never been that. We are bound to the understanding that there is a logic to this spirituality, that there is a spirituality to this logic that we are bringing. These are not separate things. We don't do that whole separation of those types of things. We make sure that what we say can be proven in some shape, form, or fashion, and some of that proof is in dreams and visions, spiritual constructs, and some of us are pulled toward Udja Temple, some of us are pulled towards me or Priestess Meri-T shot. We have had people that we've spoken with will cry, tear up in the eyes. White women, young white women, because they're hearing Mother's voice through our Priestess Meri-T shot or through myself. They're hearing their Black mother's voice, probably for the first time for some of them. Because the root has never died. It's never been destroyed. It's never faded away. The root is most formidable. Now, these religions of men continuously try to separate us from that root. Right now, there is a move that you see that's happening with Black women, right? They're building with each other, they're growing with each other, they're preserving life with each other, they're finding ways to produce abundance with each other. And as they go about doing these things, they are really actually tying into their root of who they are as divine beings. They are reconnecting and harmonizing with their root. They're building upon that connection to that which is ancient and has never, ever, ever, ever died. As the prophet said, I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. So what I'm asking you, yes, and I have an ask. It's going to be a short message. I have an ask of you. I'm asking you to reconnect to the root of who you are. Learn with us, grow with us, develop with us. We move to build a physical temple. The one call, the one mission that of all the things that I do, whether I work as a community organizer or co-director of this nonprofit, the thing that I'm most called to do is to build a temple. And I'm thinking about the sister and her children in Shelby County. What could be offered is sanctuary, a holy place where they can be safe and they can eat and be warm. What I'm asking for you to do is to tie back into that most formidable root that connects you to the Great Mother, and let us bring back the ancient matriarchal constructs. Because sisters, you know you got it right. You do. You know you got it right. I'm asking for you to work with us as we build this temple. We need a space. We need a space that is safe, that has warmth when necessary, cool when necessary, a place that preferably we can prepare food for these women and these children. And in that space, we will also be able to join together and work to reconnect ourselves to this most formidable root. As the prophet says, as the day must have its sun and the night must have its moon, sure as both must rise and fall, I'll be there to see you through. If he were referring to the divine mother, he is referring to a divine woman. She will be there to see us through. We will be successful in our work. It is the one thing that I have yet to do. I feel like after I've done this, I don't need to do anything else. After I've established or helped to establish this temple, Udja Temple, because I have tied myself into this most formidable root. I have been through things, myself, my priestess Meri-T shot, that are unimaginable. We've had our livelihoods threatened. We've been pushed against. All of this has been by males, very specifically. It's nothing else. It hasn't been the women. Or if it was the women, it was the women who are kowtowing to patriarchy. We are tying ourselves into this most formidable root. We are tying ourselves into that which can build something beautiful, something wondrous, something powerful, something love-centered. So I call on you to join us as we move ourselves towards a higher consciousness by reconnecting to that which is rudimentary, that which seems to be very simple, the root of everything. I ask that you join us, that you do not betray your own heart, that as you hear this word, you understand it to not only be a truth, but you understand your place in it to grow. Do not betray your heart. Tap into this most formidable root. Well, we hear from D'Angelo in the Vanguard. Betray my heart. Thank you for joining us. If you want to donate to this simple work, you'll find it in the bottom of this YouTube page. If you want to build with us, the prophet speaks. As the day must have its sun, and the night must have its moon, sure as both must rise and fall,
there to see you through. Just as long as there is time, I will never leave your side. And the better that you feel, that my love is not sincere, I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. Oh, oh, like the breeze that blows in June. I will stand and keep you cool. This I swear with all that's true. I'll take nothing in place of you. When you're feeling down, you my soul, you can't depend on me. You don't ever have to feel that my love is not sincere. I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. We go to rain. I'm going to reach rain. Yeah, like the real supposed to dream. Like the blood in your vein. I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. I will never betray my heart. Yeah, yeah, to the breeze, yeah. Oh, stay right here. Oh, stay right here. All right, all right.